As promised, I said I was going to record a story of my third miscarriage. Today I'm going to be doing that, but first off I just wanted to explain why I decided to separate the two videos before I go on, basically. The reason was because I had no children at all. This was my first baby that I was trying to conceive, and the third one was after I'd had Penny, so it was a loss after conceiving and giving birth to a child. And I just feel like I needed to separate those videos because the feelings I had in the first two miscarriages were that I didn't think I would ever have a baby. I didn't think that I would be able to carry a baby full term. I just didn't, I felt like my body didn't have that in me. So the third loss was so different because I knew I could carry a baby. I did it. I carried her for 9 months. I gave birth to her. She was so healthy. So I know my body can have babies now. So it sort of changed my perception on miscarriage, on my body, that, you know, I gave myself some credit because I know I can do it. I know I can carry babies. So the third miscarriage, although it hit me extremely hard and it was so upsetting and I was heartbroken, it hurt me in different ways. So that's what I'm going to touch on this video. Penny was around 6 months old when we got pregnant again. It was a complete surprise pregnancy. It was a bit of a shock, and those few days after finding out I was pregnant, I was quite emotional. I was sort of scared what it was going to be like with 2 under 2, and I know people do it every day and they cope fine. Obviously once you dealt with that kind of situation, and if the pregnancy would have gone on to be healthy, then I would have had to have coped and dealt with it, and I'm sure it would have all been fine. I was overwhelmed, happy of course, I was frightened. All the fear of miscarriage came back, thinking, oh, I might lose this baby, is this baby going to be okay? Like, oh, I really want everything to work out. I'd love Penny to have a sibling. You know, they can play together, they'll be quite young growing up, and they'd have a really close bond, and it all sort of became really exciting. I thought, you know, this isn't so bad. I felt fine. Like, I don't remember feeling too sick or have too much going on, but I just remember being overly emotional. That's how I always know I'm pregnant. I cry everything on TV. I do that anyway, but I'm extra emotional when it comes to like TV. I think it was Britain's Got Talent at the time, and Reese was like, wow, you need to do a pregnancy test. And so I did, and I was pregnant. Told my mum, kept it quiet from everybody else because you know the situation from my last video. I didn't want to sort of worry anybody, as we'd only just recently had Penny up 6 months old and all that. So we sort of kept it to ourselves, kept it quiet, and I think I phoned the doctor and said, you know, I've got a pregnancy test, come back positive, and he said, oh, okay, like, we'll arrange for you to meet up with the midwife and things like that. So that was all sort of going in the process, and I think I was about 6 weeks or something, but I'm really not sure. This is where I get confused because I've lost a baby at 5.5 to 6 weeks, and what that miscarriage released was not the same as what I experienced in this miscarriage. So all this miscarriage stuff, I just thought, it's okay now, like, surely that journey is over, those lost journeys are over, everything from now must, you know, be smooth sailing. My body sorted itself out, you know, it carried a baby, it can do it again, sort of thing. And I just had confidence in myself. Maybe I had too much confidence, but I thought things would be okay. Like, I thought all that was sort of over, but obviously not. So the bleeding occurred, I went into the hospital and they did a test and they said it was negative. I miscarried at home, and we was moved in together at this point in our flat, so it was sort of a more intimate loss. I wasn't in my dad's house, Reese's mum's house or anything like that, so in that sense it was quite nice to have our own space where we can grieve and cry and go through this journey together. So yeah, I remember it was in the toilet, and I felt the release feeling again. At this time I was having lots of clots and things, sort of all the clots and blood was coming out quite fast at this point. I actually caught this one on tissue, and I picked it up, and all of a sudden I froze. I completely froze because I saw the baby. Like, I saw a sack, and I could see the baby in the sack. I could see its head, I could almost see its like spine, like this sort of section of the head was here, the spine, sort of like almost like legs and arms, and 2 little black eyes. So it really confuses me. Was I really 6 weeks, or could I have been more? I seem to have been able to see more of a baby than I did before. In the 5.5 week scan, the baby was literally like so small, but I felt like this one was bigger and more baby-ish, although still small. But I don't know, it just really confuses me. So I don't know if I was further along and I got the dates mixed up. Because it was a surprise pregnancy, I could have got my cycles confused. So I really don't know, but the pain was pretty intense. I bled and I cramped for quite a while, and it was really, really extreme. It was awful, awful. And once I'd had the loss and the, that empty feeling came back again, just sort of secluded myself into myself, because I had Penny. Like, I didn't want her to see Mummy upset. I didn't want her to see that my heart was broken. I felt like I had to hide it, which was really hard, and I felt like I couldn't get my feelings out properly. I feel like I was more on my own this time, because everyone was sort of getting on with their own lives. Like, Reese was doing his own thing, and I know it's no disrespect to Reese at all or anything like that, but I felt like he wasn't quite there for me as well as he was for the first 2. And we've spoke about this so many times, and he sort of knows that as well. Like, he admits that maybe he wasn't there enough, and like, I don't know, we've spoke about all this before, and we've sort of come to terms with all that, and it's fine. But it was just, I felt more lonely this time. Although I had Penny and things like that, everyone was sort of like, it wasn't a big deal because I'd already had Penny, but it still was a big deal to me, because all of my miscarriages, all of my pregnancies, they all mean to me as much as Penny did, if you know what I mean, because of all my children. So it was kind of hard, and like, I felt like I got through quicker, through the grieving process so much quicker, because I had her to focus on. I had her to make me realise that life's okay at the moment. Life doesn't have to be miserable, and I don't have to be angry, I don't have to be bitter, because I still have something so beautiful and so special in my arms. Because obviously she was still so small at the time, and I just remember crying on my chair, holding her, just thinking, God, why am I upset when I've got you in my arm? Like, how can I be sad when I've got you? But you do. It's different children. Like, in my eyes it was different children, and I still grieved for the baby that I'd lost, although I had everything that I wanted in my arms. It was really confusing. God, why do I always cry in these videos? I start these videos and I'm so confident I'll be able to get everything I want out. As soon as you sit down here, you just go to complete mush. So hard. You think you've got rid of all these emotions and all these built up feelings and stuff, but as soon as you start talking about it, it just all floods back, and it feels just as fresh as it did when it happened. It's really hard. Yeah, so I sort of felt guilty because I was feeling sad. I sort of felt like I should just be grateful for what I have. I shouldn't be, so beating myself up because I've lost another pregnancy and things like that. And after a while, things got easier, and I was just concentrating into Penny, giving her everything that I had to keep myself busy, to keep myself distracted, to give her the best mummy that I could. And over time, it just got easier, and I started to accept, it was a shock pregnancy. We hadn't planned it. We want to do things in our own time, when we're ready and when it's right for our family. And I've sort of just absorbed that into my head, like, it will happen when the time is right, exactly like it did with Penny. We'll have another beautiful child, as healthy and as lovely as Penny is, when the time's right, when my body is ready. So that's sort of what I tell myself now. And Penny's nearly 2 years old now, and we're still not there. We're still not ready to have another child because of all sorts of issues. We all know how hard parenthood is. So yeah, when we're ready, we'll have more children. At the moment, we're pretty comfortable where we are, and we're just sort of going day to day and seeing what happens. Maybe tomorrow we'll decide we want more babies, who knows? But today and the last 2 years, it's just sort of been out of the question. I feel now, after losing 2 before having a healthy baby, and then now losing one after. I feel like I now have to worry for the future. Like it's no question about it. If and when we decide to have more children, it's going to be a worry. It's going to be a hard time. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a beautiful, happy experience. We're going to have to be concerned. We're going to have to worry about it. And that upsets me, because having children should be a magical time. It should be something to look forward to. And it's just not for me. It's something that I have to worry about every day. And it just ruins the whole experience, which is not everything that I wanted as a little girl. It's not what I wanted to go through, but this is what life has served me. But I refuse to let it get me down, although some days I do get pretty uptight about things, and you know, it's not to say that it's all about the miscarriage stuff, but you know, after all that grief and all the hurt that it's brought me, I can't help but feel part of that is because of all the losses and the upset. It changes you completely. Like, your perception on life changes totally. You don't take things for granted. You just appreciate, and this isn't a dig to anybody, I'm sure we all appreciate our children, but from what I've gone through, the appreciation I have for Penny is like off the scale. Like, to me, she's like a diamond, the rarest diamond, or like the most, I can't even explain it. She's just a miracle to me, and I sometimes pamper her or protect her, or you know, I do that too much. You know what I'm saying, mums? Like, I mollycoddle her a bit too much and things like that. But you know, she is special to us, and she one day will know how special she is, and I just hope that she knows that everything we've ever been through is completely worth it, because she's fantastic. She's a brilliant little girl, and I hope one day to give her a little brother or sister that she can sort of teach and look out for and play with and things like that. So one day it will happen, I'm sure. It might just be a bit of a bumpy road to get there, but I feel at the moment in my mindset now, 2 years later, I feel ready. I feel like I'd be quite headstrong, because I just feel quite empowered at the moment. Like, I've got this, like, I'm putting my story out there. I feel like I've got the confidence to do that now. I don't feel so ashamed. I don't feel embarrassed. It's so normal, and people just don't realise that sometimes, that this happens to so many people in the world, and it's just part of life. It's just the shitty bit of life that happens to so many people, and I wish it didn't. I wish it didn't happen. I wish this sort of miscarriage and baby loss and infant loss, I wish none of it existed, but it does, and it needs to be spoken about, and we need to share our stories and get everything out there and make people feel normal, because it is normal. I didn't feel normal when I lost the first 2 pregnancies, because I didn't know much about it. I didn't know, you know, it was just a frightening experience, and to not have too many people who understood or that I could talk to was just really lonely. So I've shared my story so I can make people feel normal and less lonely, and I hope that it really helped you, and I will see you again in my next one. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye.